This is Ray Coleman in London, in conversation with Robert Plant. The former singer with that heaviest of rock bands, Led Zeppelin, is back with his second solo album, The Principle of Moments. He talks here about his past, his solo music, and his upcoming American tour, on which Phil Collins will play drums. But first, some Zeppelin sounds and a sample of Robert Plant's first solo LP, Pictures at 11.
The Robert Plant Special is brought to you by Atari. With best-selling games like Centipede and Ms. Pac-Man, nobody's hotter than Atari this summer. And by The Gap, one of the world's largest sellers of Levi's jeans.
How long is it, Robert, since you went out on the road?
Well, the last sort of nervous tour was in 1980 with Zeppelin, which was a sort of European roustabout, a tester to see whether or not we were still enthusiastic for that sort of level of playing. Since then, I played in a more menial manner with the Honey Drippers, little band that I formed. And more recently with a band that, since the Honey Drippers also started getting a name of some sort of notoriety, I changed the name to the Rich Hippies and did a few gigs with them. But as far as the really big auditoriums, the idea of a trip to America in the summer would be the first one for 6 years.
Since 1977, the major Led Zeppelin tour.
Yeah.
Have you hungered for concerts, or have you shied away from them nervously since that tour?
I think it's a kind of 50-50 situation. I mean, there's no way that I could say that I could never work again, although I say it with great regularity. And also, I pine and moan, and every time I see somebody in that sort of situation enjoying themselves and really having a wonderful time, I always consider that A, I would enjoy myself better, and B, I would do everything else better than they do. And so it's, usual hodgepodge. But basically now there's a sort of air of optimism with the second album having been completed, and it's gone the way I wanted it to go. It's moved further away from Pictures at 11 and further away from the musical structures that are kind of were a little bit like trademarks, and so it's a bit more not daring. The whole thing is working as more of a musical outfit, which is how it had to be, despite the fact that from what I'd come from a completely different angle to the rest of the guys. So now it points to a tour, and it points to the kind of extensions that touring can give, which means that continuity can actually be achieved now. There can actually be a future, which is great.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
In a moment, we'll be talking to Robert Plant about his first solo album, Pictures at 11.
Vanguard, Centipede, Galaxian. Now where you been? You'll make the days roll on by. Blasting bugs out of the sky. Well, you know deep down that it's gonna be a hummer. 'Cause nobody's harder than Atari this summer. Nobody's harder than Atari this summer.
The really hot video games this summer come from Atari. We've got Vanguard, Phoenix, Ms. Pac-Man, and Centipede. And now only Atari brings you the exciting 2600 home version of the arcade classic, Galaxian. If you thought it was going to be just another summer, Atari's going to turn your head around.
The hot names, the
Jerry, believe me, those Gap Pioneer chords look terrific.
I don't know, Frank.
And the price.
I know. Prices at the Gap are always terrific.
Right.
But styles change. I'm out before I get in.
They look fantastic.
Yeah, but they had 9 other colors. Maybe I should really
Don't take my word for it. Ask anybody.
Who would I ask?
Ask that meter maid over there.
Okay. Pardon me.
Yes, handsome.
Could I ask you 3 simple questions?
I absolutely love your Gap Pioneer chords.
Question number 1. Do you absolutely love my
The way
Gap...
they hug your body drives me bonkers.
Question number 2. Do my bonkers drive you huggy?
Do you want to know what I really think? Anyone who wears such great-looking Gap Pioneer chords can violate a parking zone with me anytime.
Fall into the Gap.
When America is looking for value, it falls into the Gap, because right now the Gap has Pioneer chords in guys and student sizes at terrific savings, just in time for back to school. Fall into the Gap and save.
With Pictures at 11, were you trying consciously to renounce your Led Zeppelin tag? Was it a conscious move to say musically and image-wise, was it a conscious move to say Led Zeppelin is dead?
Well, I think that in a way somebody had to make it reasonably emphatic that the name Led Zeppelin and the actual combination was never going to be returned to.
There was never a formal announcement, was there, to that effect? It sort of disintegrated, I think.
No, there was an announcement that was put out through Swan Song that said that we could no longer obviously perform with the personnel having lost John, and so that would be the end of Led Zeppelin. I mean, it was a little ambiguous, the statement that came out.
Yes.
But really, all I wanted to do was to say, look, I have sung in that band for years. I love that band. I dream happily of that band. But nevertheless, I'm still the singer of songs, the writer of melodies and words, and I do exist with and without, before and after. And so Pictures at 11 was far more, I suppose you might say, it lent obviously a lot more emotionally on the sort of Zeppelin time. Although I did particularly try with things like Fat Lip, with rhythm boxes and stuff like that, to remove myself. But I think now I finally have actually shoved it across a bit. That's with no detriment to Zeppelin at all, but I mean, and I don't even know whether it's forward, backwards or sideways, it's just getting different.
I can't believe it happens each day. You know with suspicion. You know with mine.
Was it traumatic, making the album, Pictures at 11? Was going into the studio alone after all those years of the comfort of Led Zeppelin and the friendship and the togetherness, was that tough?
Hellishly tough, really. I mean, people might think, well, how can it be tough? But you're right, the comfort is the word. It's rather like, what do the Indians call it, chutney. It's a sort of, the dummy had gone. There's nothing to suck anymore, no sort of peace within numbers. I mean, I was just standing there with people some of whom I knew, some who I didn't. And everybody was looking at me and going, well, okay, it's your show. What should we do beyond this point or that point? So I had to be alert and confident on so many different levels that I hadn't really even bothered about before. I was aware that they were there, like on a production level, or coaxing this, or demanding that, or emphasising here and there. I've been quite content to sing and then clear off with Zeppelin and come back for the mixing and just push the vocals up a touch more or a bit more echo here and there. But suddenly the whole spectrum of the whole thing, from the first time you shake somebody's hand when you first meet them, like with Paul, the bass player, completely unknown guy to me, right the way through to the completion and the playing of the final mixes after 14 years of association with Jimmy, was, demanding, but exhilarating too.
Hey!
This is Ray Coleman in London. We'll continue this Robert Plant special with his story of his brand new album, The Principle of Moments.
Recorded on Maxell tape.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain.
Rock and roll
Too much love drives a man
is
insane.
really here to stay.
You broke my will, but what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Because at Maxell, we make tape so well that even after 500 plays, it still delivers high fidelity. Precision engineered tape that's built to standards 60% higher than the industry calls for.
Kisses me, baby. Feels good. Hold me, baby.
Durable cassettes you can shake, rattle, if they keep on rolling.
You're fine. So kind. Got to tell this world that you're mine.
So record on the tape that's built to become a golden oldie. Maxell. Bebopper Lula. We don't mean maybe.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Nestle $100,000 bar. What a crunchy, chewy bar you are.
Hey, sis, what are you doing in the kitchen? It's midnight.
Same as you. Looking for the Nestle $100,000 bars Mom bought today.
Here they are.
You knew.
I watched her put them away.
Crunchy chocolate, chewy caramel.
It's one bar with both.
Well, I'm going up.
Hey, sis?
Yeah?
Same time tomorrow night?
You're on.
Nestle $100,000 bar. What a crunchy, chewy bar you are.
Gotta be special. Gotta be low and brown. Gotta be special. Gotta be low and brown. Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special. The beer will pour. Must say something more somehow. So tonight, let it be low and brown. So tonight, let it be all the best. Gotta be low and brown.
Brewed by the Miller Brewing Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
I've got some good news for you about 7-Up, but prepare to use all of your senses. You've heard the news that 7-Up has no caffeine, and most of the soft drinks do. But the news doesn't stop there. You can see that 7-Up also has no artificial color. But look here. You can see that Coke, Pepsi, Mellow Yellow, Mountain Dew, and Dr. Pepper are all artificially colored. Brown, green, yellow. Where do they get all those colors? Obviously, 7-Up has no artificial flavor. Your sense of taste would tell you that. Clean, refreshing, unspoiled 7-Up. And now that you have heard, seen, and tasted the good news about 7-Up, the rest is simply common sense.
Don't you feel good about 7-Up?
Let's jump to your current album. What's it called?
It's called The Principle of Moments.
The Principle of Moments. Mm-hmm. And was this an altogether different psychological barrier for you, or was there still the uncertainty and pressure of being a solo artist who had not been on the road?
Well, obviously the frustration of not having gone, and it's a terrible cliche, I've heard it before, but getting it off your chest. I suppose that this business is an industry, there's no doubt about it. But underneath and behind the industry, the thing that makes it all tick, that makes there room for you and for the record companies and for everything that is around and about it, is the fact that the artist is a really sensitive creature. And it's not very easy just to make a song, to try and make it live within the confines of the studio and then leave it. So it obviously was very frustrating not to have gone out and done something about it, extended the piece, found new vocal licks, heard somebody applauding. I mean, that helps.
Yes.
So the advent of the second album, really, I knew that to tour, the idea of playing Peoria, Illinois, or Madison Square Garden could only be achieved by actually playing a set of material that had been established since the end of Led Zeppelin. So to avoid singing Stairway to Heaven, there had to be enough material, fresh material. So as soon as Pictures at 11 was out, we started work on the next one. So there was no stop, really, it just kept going. So there wasn't, all I was thinking about was to develop a new track record. And of course the record company loves that because they don't call it a track record, they call it a new catalogue. So it's just a case of just continuation, just keep going. I could only really be really frustrated if I didn't do anything at all. So the next best thing was to rack your brains and get in the studio and turn it out again.
You said you never leave me.
More of Robert Plant after this.
Jerry, believe me, those Gap Pioneer chords look terrific.
I don't know, Frank.
And the price.
I know. Prices at the Gap are always terrific.
Right.
But styles change. I'm out before I get in.
They look fantastic.
Yeah, but they had 9 other colors. Maybe I should really
Don't take my word for it. Ask anybody.
Who would I ask?
Ask that meter maid over there.
Okay. Pardon me.
Yes, handsome.
Could I ask you 3 simple questions?
I absolutely love your Gap Pioneer chords.
Question number 1. Do you absolutely love my
The way
Gap...
they hug your body drives me bonkers.
Question number 2. Do my bonkers drive you huggy?
Do you want to know what I really think? Anyone who wears such great-looking Gap Pioneer chords can violate a parking zone with me anytime.
Fall into the Gap.
When America is looking for value, it falls into the Gap, because right now the Gap has Pioneer cords in guys and student sizes at terrific savings, just in time for back to school. Fall into the Gap and save.
I have a collect call. Will you accept?
Hi, Mom, it's Eric. No, everything's fine at Camp Wanamaca. You just bought me what? Galaxian? That's my favorite arcade game. But how'd you get it in the house? Oh, Atari makes a home version now. Great! I'll be on the next bus home. Just kidding, Mom. Listen, could you play a game of Galaxian for me? Just put the cartridge in. See the screen? No, Mom, that's not interference. Those are spaceships. You use them to blast the Galaxian fleet. The red ones are Hornets and the blue ones are drones. Drones, Mom. Oh, never mind. Move right. Now left. I know things are shooting at you. Shoot back. The red button. Press the red. You blew up. You gotta calm down, Mom. It's only a game.
The hot names, the hot games, the hot deals. Yeah, it's gonna be a hummer, 'cause nobody's harder than Atari this summer. Nobody's harder than Atari this summer. No!
Did the songwriting come easy for the first album and the second, or was one easier than the last?
Well, the first album, really, I suppose, was like, not unlike sort of being away from something that you love for a long time, woman or whatever it may be, dreaming of the whole thing in your subconscious and then finally having time to actually deliver it incredibly quickly. It's like being a bad lover, if you like. It just sort of whoosh and it's done. So Pictures at 11, both musically and lyrically, was a bit like that. It was like there was all that kind of desire to let it out that was done. It was very emotional, very quick, and very simple. The second one obviously couldn't be anything like that, because by then the other musicians had already got a kind of a conscience about anything sounding the same, musically, the construction and whatnot. So it was an album of conscience, really, in every sense of the word. It was a lot harder musically to achieve. lyrically and melodically, I've been going through remarkable changes one way and another, which have given me a kind of, in some cases, a sense of achievement, and in some cases, a minor sense of loss. But definitely all along the line, an incredible sense of change and opportunity as well. And so really, lyrics this time round and melodies have been, there's thousands of them in here.
So there's a terrific difference, is what you're saying, that there is a terrific difference between the new album and the first.
I think I've got the bit in between my teeth now. You know, I don't think anymore that that the first album was a one-off and that's it, and oh Christ, what do I do next, and who do I approach, and how do I do this or that or the other. I just do it. There's not that much sort of conscious thought. Really, I'm the helmsman or the pilot of this sort of new machine. Dance by me close, tell them all to go. One's for the money, but I'm through with the show. Then mommy calls me, baby, please don't go. That's fine. That's mommy, baby, please don't go. But working with two drummers again has been interesting. That means that Phil Collins played he played on 8 tracks, although 6 of them appear on the record. And a guy called Barry Barlow played on a couple of tracks.
He used to be with Jethro Tull, didn't he?
Yeah.
I remember.
Now, somebody who might be listening to this would go, oh Lord, poor guy. Oh, how could he... What does that mean that he's like if he's been with Jethro Tull? But I think he left all that and sort of sat watching stones grow for a while and realised that he also needed a new form of continuity, and his style of drumming is remarkably different now to how it was before. It's what you might call, it's like a series of mathematical patterns, really. He has a group called Tandoori Cassette, which is trying desperately to take this kind of whole musical construction, which his drumming is apart, a lot further than actually he's ever going to get, I think. But his contribution to the 2 tracks on the record which he plays is great. It makes a completely different clock-like mood. It's like a sort of a happy Fritz Lang. You know, it's kind of really strange. And I'd like to think I could work with him in the future too, because because it is angular, it's almost like right angular music these patterns create. It means that the musicians play accordingly or along with, even if they might write the chord structures. And you get this strange effect, which is makes people go, oh, I'm not sure about that. Just a little threatening with absolutely no intentions.
Coming up, Robert Plant gives us a breakdown of the other songs he's written for his new album.
Even after 500 plays, Maxell High Fidelity Tape still delivers high fidelity.
Hey, you in there! Give me a break!
Because at Maxell, we make tape to standards that are 60% higher than the industry calls for. Precision-engineered tape that retains the clarity you recorded long after ordinary tapes have worn themselves out.
Oh, no! How many times are you going to play that thing?
So try Maxell and play after play after play. The only noticeable thing you'll wear down...
Please! I can't take it anymore!
...is your neighbors.
I beg of you! Come on!
excel. It's worth it.
Wisconsin.
Vanguard centipede, Galaxian. Now where you been? You'll make the days roll on by, blasting bugs out of the sky. Well, you know deep down that it's gonna be a hummer, 'cause nobody's harder than Atari this summer. Nobody's harder than Atari this summer.
The really hot video games this summer come from Atari. We've got Vanguard, Phoenix, Ms. Pac-Man, and Centipede. And now only Atari brings you the exciting 2600 home version of the arcade classic, Galaxian. If you thought it was going to be just another summer, Atari's going to turn your head around.
The hot names, the hot games, the hot deals. Yeah, it's gonna be a hummer, 'cause nobody's harder than Atari this summer. Nobody's harder than Atari this summer.
Could we get into a breakdown of the songs on the new album? And can I start by asking you to describe the mood and the lyrics and the general songs? First, can you talk about Other Arms and where the idea came from?
It's very hard to get right down to the reasons and stuff like that. But Other Arms is it's a tease, basically. It's a kind of song that it has and follows the kind of structure and mood and whatnot that has been prevalent on American radio for about the last 3 or 4 years. It's kind of complete with echoey backing vocals and all the sort of stomping drum beat and all that. It could be any tired group from the Midwest, except for it's done incredibly well. It's a tease. It kind of, what it does is it introduces the album in a completely, it gives the listener the intention or the impression that the album is going to be totally different to what it is. It's just a joke.
In the Mood? That sounds more like an opening track.
Yeah. It is an opening. It will be an opening track on stage, actually. It's a bit like I think the whole song lasts for about 6 minutes, and it's got 3 lines of vocal on it. It's the simplest of things, but it has the greatest effect. Its simplicity is well, very clean and wispy. It's basically a keyboard track, synthesizer track. Quite interesting. What it is allowing, and what it's starting to show, is that the dynamics which I was accustomed to working with before are actually starting to show themselves in a totally different light now with this band. And studying this track and later tracks, there is an alternative form of dynamic and power and latent power starting to emerge. In many respects, it has a similarity to what I've been working with years and years ago, but it's, I don't know, it's just a different form of it, but very gentle and very creeps up on you without you knowing it, really.
melody, I'm in the mood for a melody, I'm in the mood.
More from The Principle of Moments after this.
What sound would you rather be listening to this summer? This?
Or the sound of lasers blasting missiles as you journey through the dreaded tunnels of Eteria?
Would it be more exciting to listen to this?
Or the sound of rockets firing at giant centipede monsters just in time to stop them from devouring the enchanted forest?
Atari home video games have all the hot sounds this summer, plus the graphics that make you feel like you're part of the action. Whether it's Ms. Pac-Man, Centipede, Vanguard, or Phoenix, we've got hours of challenges in store for you. So why spend another summer listening to this when you can be playing this?
The hot names, the hot games, the hot feels. Yeah, it's gonna be a hummer, 'cause nobody's hotter than Atari this summer. Nobody's hotter than Atari this summer.
Jerry, believe me, those Gap Pioneer chords look terrific.
I don't know, Frank.
And the price.
I know. Prices of the Gap are always terrific.
Right.
But styles change. I'm out before I get in.
They look fantastic.
Yeah, but they had 9 other colors. Maybe I should really
Don't take my word for it. Ask anybody.
Who would I ask?
Ask that meter maid over there.
Okay. Pardon me.
Yes, handsome.
Could I ask you 3 simple questions?
I absolutely love your Gap Pioneer chords.
Question number 1. Do you absolutely love my
The way
Gap?
they hug your body drives me bonkers.
Question number 2. Do my bonkers drive you huggy?
You want to know what I really think? Anyone who wears such great-looking Gap Pioneer chords can violate a parking zone with me anytime.
Fall into the Gap.
America is looking for value. It falls into the Gap because right now the Gap has Pioneer cords in guys and student sizes at terrific savings just in time for back to school. Fall into the Gap and save.
Michelob Light for the winners. Michelob Light. Michelob Light for the winners. You pour it on. Now your goes inside. You're going for that rich, smooth taste. The taste of Michelob Light.
Yeah, go ahead. Pour yourself a cold Michelob Light. Ah, just compare that rich, smooth taste to any beer you like. With one taste, you'll know why it's Michelob Light.
Michelob Light for the winners. Michelob Light. Michelob Light.
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Stranger here than over there. Sounds great. I love the sound of that. That sounds funny.
Well, it's again, there's an air of kind of, I suppose now listening to it, there's an air of sadness and nightmare about the thing in a way. I don't know whether the artist really achieves a great deal from bearing his heart to the world when nobody really cares, and the next heart is only 20 minutes aside anyway, you know? This is another Barry Barlow track. And here, definitely, the rhythm, the drums and the bass have created a most peculiar air. Yeah, it's about 6 minutes of opening your shirt and trying to track your heart down.
Is it hard rock and roll?
No. If this is rock and roll, then this is rock and roll with a conscience, I suppose.
So lonely, I can be so lonely, I can be so
Finally, the final track is Big Log.
Yeah. This is it doesn't really need any introduction. This is the final play out.
Right.
As the credits go. You know, as you can see the screen and the credits in that. And the whole thing is like reflective. Then this is the ultimate track to go out with.
Right.
It's just the end of the second chapter, really.
You're touring America with this album, and what will you be singing on the road? What will you be performing? Apart from this album, will you be calling on Pictures at 11?
Everything, yeah.
Any Led Zeppelin music?
I wrote the lyrics, so I suppose I'm entitled to say I've forgotten them. No, I don't think it would be fair. I mean, it's the second time round to have to say this, but I think it would be grossly unfair to the memory of a great band for me to start standing up and doing short sort of, I don't know what you call it, like 2 minutes of Black Dog going into a couple of minutes of Fool in the Rain. That's not the way to do it.
So there is nothing of Zeppelin on the road?
Nope.
And when will you be touring the States? Do you have the dates?
Presumably, it appears that I shall start on about August the 27th in America proper touring. 7 days after my birthday, Lord have mercy. And finish about the 2nd of October.
It's a long haul, 6 weeks.
I don't think it's very long.
Are you looking forward to it, or
It's
are
been
you
6
apprehensive?
years, 6 years to wait, so 6 weeks to play.
No.
I'm looking forward to... it's going to be such a combination of adrenaline and apprehension, nervousness and elation that I won't even know I've done it until I'm back home.
And who's going on the road with you? Do you have the lineup of the band? Phil is doing some dates, Phil Collins.
Phil Collins is doing the American tour.
The whole American tour?
Yeah.
I see.
And it will be Robbie Blunt on guitar, Paul Martinez bass, Jez Woodruff on keyboards, and Bob Mayer from Foreigner will also be on keyboards and guitar too. It's sounding really good. We're doing quite a bit of rehearsing now with another drummer who wants to do something. It'd be interesting if the pair of them played together, actually. I mean, they're
twin drummers.
Yeah, but they really are both great in their own field, and you would never have known it with the gentleman who is discreetly working with me now.
And you're not at liberty to divulge who he is?
I couldn't tell you his name was Roger Taylor, no, because he probably wouldn't. Goodness knows.
Roger Taylor, yes, who we all know and love.
Yeah, and who has been playing set numbers for such a long time, and has never been, well, probably extended himself here and there with his solo projects. But his enthusiasm is, I mean, if there's anything that's going to sum me up right now, I think he summed it up the other day. He said, do you know, we've both been in these bands and been around and been successful for a long time. He said, we both have the qualities that are fading fast. And I said, well, what's that? He said, we're keen.
This is Ray Coleman in London. I'd like to thank Robert Plant for taking time out to talk about his new solo album, The Principle of Moments, during rehearsals for his 6-week American concert tour, which thousands of rock fans will really enjoy.
The Robert Plant Special was brought to you by The Gap, one of the world's largest sellers of Levi's jeans, and by Atari, with best-selling games like Centipede and Ms. Pac-Man. Nobody's hotter than Atari this summer. The Robert Plant Special is distributed by London Wavelength. All post-production completed in Hollywood, California by John Sargent Productions.